Yeah.
So now we are going to install 16. So setup file already I have downloaded it. Go to C. So it is better to download all setup files regarding SQL Server setup files in one folder. So I call it as a media folder. So under this media, we have all versions of SQL Server. Yes. I'll make it little zoom for better visibility. Okay. So 2016, here it is. So this is ISO file basically. So ISO file means it can be given to you with a disk. So whenever you input disk in your computer, yeah, you know that, right?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, in our deployment in the lab also, usually we used to deploy or install OS through ISO images only. So
very good, very good. So if you extract ISO, you can get this type of file. So I extracted 2016. Go to setup.exe, right click on this and click on run as administrator.
Okay.
So did you practice, at least did you go through previous versions of installation?
And actually, I have installed only the 2022 earlier. The 2008 and 12, those I didn't practice yet.
So let me know how much you know about installation. Which button I need to choose now?
So here we will go to this hardware and software requirement. No, sorry.
No, we go to
installation. Sorry. New SQL.
Okay. So the new SQL Server standalone installation.
The first one.
So how can you know this is 2016 version before this window? So from here we
on
can
top
see.
left.
Here once installation center opens, you can otherwise down corner left side you can see.
Yeah.
Okay, here you can see installation center. Click on next. So this is already actually I downloaded it wantedly. So I am unchecking this. I'll show you how to install this 2016 later. I think 2016 also we have done, right?
16, I don't think 16. I think it's not done. 14 only. Actually, we have saw means the differences you have shown. What is the differences?
Just a minute. I'll check here.
It's there. Huh?
16. Yes, we performed this. It's okay. We will do it one more time. So 16. So I'm not clicking on this. Click on next. These updates I manually downloaded. So why should we download these updates? I'll tell you later. So click on next. This is just a warning. New installation, developer edition, so license terms. Now you need to remember feature selection. So for older version, we need to choose database engine services, client tools connectivity, client tools backward. Since these features are shared features, already when we installed in 2016 first time, these two features already installed. That is why it is not showing you to check these options.
We have to
these are first time whenever you install, you need to click on these two options because these are required to compatibility for
means from older
backward,
version.
Back versions. Yes, older version. So now these are shared features. So once you install, that's it. Next time, every time you need not to install. And if you want, you can install SQL Server replication. Now I am not installing it.
But this is not.
So this is root directory. It is required whenever you choose high availability option. So in future, we will discuss about it. Okay. In normal scenarios, we need not this feature. So this is root directory where all SQL related files will be shared. Click on next. The feature selection completed. Now let's come to instance configuration. So under instance configuration, you need to provide name,
either we
SQL
can
Server.
put default or name also.
2016 instance 2. I'm giving 16 instance 2. So default instance, if you choose, need not to give any name.
Give the name,
if
right?
you give, yes, I'm choosing named instance. Click on next. Automatically, this name will be taken as an instance ID.
Yeah, right.
Click on next. So it took. Then go to server configuration. Service accounts from 2012 onwards, dedicated service accounts released. Let me open this PPT. From 2012 onwards, SQL introduced dedicated SQL service account. So before that, this was shared by other programs also. From 2012 onwards, it is NT service. So, okay, fine. Click on this option. Why this option is because so this privilege enables us instant file initialization. That means so let me open database, any database, one database. Okay. So DB100 properties, files. So what is the file size here? Data file size?
10 MB. 10 MB.
So whenever you allot 10 MB of space to this, I mean data file. So all 10 MB. In 10 MB, how many pages will be there? 10 MB means what?
10 MB into
1024
1024
10 MB divided by 8 KB. So 10 MB into 1024. Yes, you are correct. So this is KB divided by 8 KB.
8
This
KB.
many pages. So in 1 MB, how many pages will be there?
It is 1024
divided by 8, right?
8.
Oh, sorry, this is wrong calculation. This is wrong calculation actually. So 1 MB is 128 pages. 10 MB means 1280 pages. That's it.
Correct.
Okay. So all these 1280 pages filled with zeros to reserve. This is related to SQL Server pages in the operating system. So it fills with zeros to reserve for SQL Server. So 10 MB, that is fine. What if I have 1 GB of space? If I increase 1 GB, if I increase 100 GB, so this 100 GB also, it needs to fill with all pages with zeros.
Okay.
So filling zeros is time-taking process. So if you want to initialize database immediately, or if you want to do auto growth, it is not possible in normal circumstances. So that is why this option given, whenever you check this option, it avoids zeroing of databases. Read this.
Okay.
So it avoids, So this privilege enables instance file initialization by avoiding zeroing of databases. Okay. So because of this, the database initiation auto growth will be very faster compared to previous versions. Okay, that is why we need to check this option. So we have some security threats also. This may lead to information disclosure by allowing deleted content you can access from here. Okay. But if you compare advantages and disadvantages, it will outweigh disadvantages. It will overcome disadvantages. The advantages are more in this feature. Okay. So normally, whenever RAM is utilized, for example, now, so that purpose has completed, task is completed in the RAM. Okay, this is task 1. This is task 2. This is task 3. This is task 4. So whenever, for example, you want to utilize this, these are completed tasks, you want to utilize this space also. Okay, in this scenario also, you need to first make it zeros with all 8 KBs. If you use this option, instead of making it zeros, directly overwritten existing pages. So it will immediately initialize the database and auto growth. That is the advantage for it. Okay. So then go to collation settings, language settings. SQL Latin 1 general means English.
English.
CP means code page. It is a standard structure 1252. So there are multiple standards here. It follows 1252 standard. CP1 means. CA means case insensitive. You can use uppercase or lowercase both. For example, here, let me show you. Select star from these databases. I used lower cases, right? Now I can use select star from this databases. So only few languages support this. So even though I use this mixed select, okay, star from this data
output
basis. Okay. So it will output will be
so
same.
that it will show that.
Because we are using case insensitive collation.
Okay, that is why.
Okay, if you change this collation, so it might be case sensitive. So Python, Java, I think all these languages are also case sensitive.
Case sensitive.
So this means assent sensitive. So assent, there are multiple assents, right? UK assent, US assent. So it will not compatible with different assents. So if you choose this option, this is assent sensitive. So this is about collation settings. Click on next. Server configuration, we need to choose either Windows authentication mode or mixed mode in on-prem. But if you are using cloud, you have one more option, that Microsoft Entra ID authentication, Microsoft Entra ID, MFA.
Multi-factor.
So all multi-factor authentication, we call it as Entra. Okay, Microsoft Entra MFA. This is cloud authentication. So for on-prem SQL and Windows authentication required, you know the difference well. So now I am adding current user. If you want to use another user also, you can click on add. You can add that user. Okay, fine. If you want to use SQL authentication, you can go here. So for SA account, I mean user is SA. Password you need to provide.
In Windows, it will take the
SA
Windows
means
password.
Yes, correct. So Windows, you need not to provide any password.
Correct.
Now you need to see the difference. Data directories and file stream, both these options are introduced in 2008 version. So from 2008, before 2008, there were no these options: file stream, data directories, okay, configuration path. These three options introduced in 2008. Okay. So in 2008, there were no TempDB configuration. Even 2012 also no TempDB configuration. Let me show you. Here it is TempDB configuration. So it is introduced first time in 2016. Because TempDB configuration is very important. We already discussed about temporary database.
The template.
Okay. So let me go through details. TempDB configuration. So this is a beautiful site, SQL Shack. It is a good black spot maintains about SQL Server. Okay, let's see this. Why TempDB is used? TempDB is one of the 4 system databases. Okay, so TempDB uses, SQL Server uses TempDB database to store user objects, internal objects, and version stores.
Okay.
So it will be used for storing objects, temporary objects. Okay, user objects and system objects, both. And version store. What is version store? So we have some functionalities in SQL Server, like let me show you here: indexing, triggers, snapshot isolation. These are some functionalities. So indexing means so it will note down all the pages in order wise. So where this page actually existed.
Okay.
So for this indexing purpose, snapshot isolation, what is isolation? We will see later. Triggers, all this purpose. If you modify the row, older data will be maintained as a version. It will not deleted immediately until committed. Okay. For example, so you have Hari and Ravi. So this is 1 and 2. So in online indexing and isolation, snapshot isolation, whenever you delete this, you deleted this, not deleted, you modified this as Ravi Kumar. Okay. So, but you have not committed it, but that means transaction has not completed. Okay. And in this session, you can see Ravi Kumar data. But if any other user sees, he can still see Ravi data. Older data.
Older
because
version.
because in TempDB, this row version will be maintained because it is not committed yet. Once it is committed, everywhere you can see same information.
So means only in this instance it will be shown as the updated one, unless and until it will be committed.
Exactly. So row versioning, we will discuss about row versioning feature in detail. So for row versioning, TempDB utilized. Okay, so for user objects, temporary files, temp tables, you can store. Temp tables are 2 types, you know that. Local temp tables, global temp tables. Internal objects. Okay, so internal objects means what? So for example, you are doing sorting operations. So for ascending order, descending order, or any other order. Sorting operations can be done in TempDB to avoid performance issues. So directly sorting options will not be conducted in main database. Sorting operations will be done in TempDB only. Okay. So intermediate results. If you are joining 2 or more tables, if you are doing aggregates, I mean you are doing some of aggregates, averages, and some mathematical calculations. For all these purpose, for intermediate results, TempDB will be utilized. Okay, so there is a concept of SPool for storing all the objects temporarily here. For tables, you have table SPool. For indexes, you have indexes SPool, like that. For intermediate results of SPool also, you can use TempDB. XML variables. So you can use XML also, XML documents also, XML format also in SQL. If you want to store XML variables, TempDB will be utilized. Large objects, more than 1 MB, 2 MB data, whatever you want to store, unstructured data. So that will be utilized at TempDB. So we use cursors as a developers. Generally, developers use cursors. So in cursors program also, TempDB utilized. We have a mailing concept in SQL Server that is called as database mail. So whenever you send mails from SQL Server, so if you send more mails in transit, whenever they are transit, it will use TempDB.
When we are sending from SQL Server.
Yes, correct. So we use some commands, dbcc check db. I'll discuss it about later. It will be used for database integrity, check database integrity, and database mail. All these features are utilized in TempDB. So that is why TempDB configuration is very important. If you do not configure it perfectly, you will face hell lot of these performance issues. Okay, so that is why this option is introduced in 2016. You need not to configure anything automatically according to your logical processor count. It will take files.
Whatever
the only thing you need to change, the only thing you need to change here is directories path. So you need to allot TempDB separate directory. For data files, this path you need to allot. So you can change this path. And for log files, for data files, TempDB data files, for log files, this is the location. Okay. So this file should be in equal size.
So this log directory path that we also need to change, or
TempDB log. TempDB. Yes, we need to change. If we have enough disk, okay, you can give it another disk also. If you don't have that luxury, you can use same location but with another folder. Okay. So all data files must be in same size. So initial size is 8 MB, means 4 into 8, total 32 MB for data files you are allotting. So one file is 10 MB, another file is 15 MB, third file is 20 MB. You should not configure like that. So if you are configuring 4 files, 4 files must be in same size. If you are configuring 8 files, 8 files must be in the same size. Okay. So why there should be same size? We will discuss it later, because SQL Server uses proportional filling. So we will discuss about this topic later. So for now, you just remember how many logical processors your computer has. That many of data files you need to create for TempDB.
Okay.
Okay. So how many maximum files you can provide here? For example, how many cores I have in my computer? Can you see and tell? So how many cores I have? Logical processors I have.
2 cores and
2
logical
cores and
processor
processors are 4. What if my computer has 8 cores, 8 processors? So
Then
what
it will
should
be
be
8.
this number?
It will depend on that
8.
number of processors.
Okay, very good. What would be, so if my computer have 16 cores, what will be the count of files?
16 cores.
Yes, 16 processors. Just assume my computer has 16 logical processors. How many temp data files I should create?
16, no?
That you can create 16, but that is not recommendable.
Okay.
So what Microsoft recommending you is, you can create up to 8 temp data files based on your count of logical processors. After that, based on necessity, based on the requirement. For example, you configured 8 files, still TempDB is performing slow. Then you can increase 2 more files, 3 more files like that. But all should be in same size.
Okay.
Okay.
So 8 will be
So
recommended, and
maximum
then we can
ideal
increase.
count should be 8.
8.
Later on, based on your requirement, you can tweak the count.
But the max will be the number of processors.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So we may face some issues if you have more data files. When you are switching between this data file and that will be also performance issue. So ideal Microsoft recommendation is 8. After that, based on your count, based on your load, based on your requirement, you can increase according to. So that scenario. Okay. So setup would take longer time with large initial size. So it is telling initial size should be low, because it is not telling initial should be low. It is what it is telling is, so if you increase this initial size, it may take longer time.
Okay.
So that is not required. Actually, even if it takes longer time, TempDB configuration should be like this. So for example, you need 100 GB of TempDB space that will be calculated based on the load on the database. Okay. For example, you have already different SQL server. You have testing servers, you have pre-prod servers. In that server, you observed TempDB needs at least 100 GB. Okay. That 100 GB should be pre-allocated. So every time 8 MB, 8 MB, you cannot increase. You should not increase auto growth. So if you do multiple auto growths, there will be some issues. We will discuss it later.
Okay.
Especially in log file.
Performance
issues. Yes, especially in log file, there is more performance issues will come if you increase the auto growth for log file. So auto growth should be like this. So whatever the load, you should estimate that load. So based on that load, we should reallocate all the space. And the growth should be, auto growth should be not in percentage, it should be in megabytes.
Okay.
So why it should not be in percentage? Let me explain. So if it is 100 MB, what is the 10% of 100 MB?
10 MB.
10 MB. Okay. So if your computer has, I mean, if your data file has 1000 MB, what is the 10%?
100.
100 MB is also fine.
Uh-huh.
What if your computer has 100 GB? What is the 10%?
10 GB.
10
That will be
GB.
lot
10
of space.
GB is
Mm.
lot of space, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if your data size is current data size is 1000 GB? So 100, 10%, even
Yeah,
10% also, it will come to 100 GB.
right.
So you cannot, for small databases, you can allot 10 GB, the initial size, auto growth size, that is fine, 10%.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
But
larger
for the larger
databases,
file.
if you calculate percentage wise, yeah,
Right.
that would be very lot of space and
Yes.
it is not recommendable. So after, so if your database size is large, you need to allot this auto growth size based on MB, not in percentage.
Mm-hmm.
So you can increase like 1000 MB, that means 1 GB. If you want, you can increase like 5000 MB, that means 5 GB. That's it, enough for that. Okay.
Yes.
So this is about temporary configuration. So after that file stream, you know this option. It was introduced in 2008. So to access large objects, unstructured data, videos, and all things in file system. So Windows file, we have NTFS file system we have. So if you want to access external location with integration of database, you use file stream option. Next. So these are the all features. These all features
Whatever
are
we have
saved into
selected.
this configuration file. Yes. Okay. So what is the use of the configuration file? Soon we will discuss on
From
this.
here, main use means we can check means whatever permissions or whatever features we have selected for our database. Like that.
Okay, we will discuss about a configuration file soon. So right now I am not installing. Already we have 2016 instance, so I'm canceling this. Let me go to 2019.
Yes.
This is 19. Here, setup.exe, right click, run as administrator, click on yes. So help me with this installation. Where should I go?
In installation, we will go.
Installation.
New SQL Server standalone.
Yes. So if you do all versions of installation, it will be very handy for you. You can remember each and every option.
Yeah. So here already developer is there, so we need not to select. Now accept.
Yeah. So you can choose evaluation express edition also. We will discuss about editions later. So now we are choosing developer edition.
Now accept.
So we are accepting license terms. Fine.
Next.
Just checking for product updates, not required. Installing setup files. Now it will move to feature selection. Okay, this is just a warning.
Now this database.
So what are the features? Database engine services.
Then we'll come down and select that client tool connectivity.
Yeah, shared. These are shared features. Already in 2016, we choosing these options. That is why these are not showing here. So already we installed these options.
Option in the older version, then for the newer one, it will be auto means applicable.
Yeah, that is fine because these are shared features, right?
Correct. So now here it is showing the path of the instance. And
yeah. So let me show you one more option here. So in the earlier version, if you want to install SSRS, you can install. But in 2019, if you want to install SSRS from here, you cannot do because they have removed it from which version? Let me show you. So SSRS removed in 2017. Sorry, not 19. So if you want to install SSRS, see here, reporting services, you need to download it from web.
Okay.
So that is for SSRS. So now we are going with only SSDS, right? These two options I selected. This is root directory. Click on next. Feature selection completed. Now come to instance configuration.
So
there
that
will be two
default and
options:
name
default instance, named instance. Yes, correct.
Right. If
So
we select
name,
default,
I'm
it will
naming it
automatically take
SQL
the name.
2019. Yeah, let me take I2. So by default, it is taking.
It will take, right.
Okay, and the same name. What
And
if
the
I
total
start with?
instances will be 50, na?
Let me tell you. What if I start with numbers? One hurry. Let me check.
The number it won't take, no.
It is taking.
Oh, it is taking. I thought. Then
Numbers also it is taking. It should not. Okay, I'll discuss this topic later. So I need to check on this. Earlier, it was not accepting numbers initially. Now it is accepting. Let me check it.
But
see,
you have
numbers
given
it will not accept.
different. Means in named instance, you have typed 12121 and the instance
it's
ID
fine.
is different.
That is fine. Instance ID, you can name it as per your requirement. So you can change instance ID, even though you maintain. So see, so the specified instance name doesn't meet instance naming rules.
Okay.
So you cannot start name with numbers. You can start with alphabets. Okay. So how many? What is the? Then once you start alphabetical, you can use numbers A1 like that.
Okay.
So
Okay. But
let me count this
character
A1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, correct. 10. Okay, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay. Total 16 characters are allowed for naming instance, named instance. Okay, 16 characters. Remember this thing. So I am naming it SQL 2019. I2. The same will be taken to instance ID.
It is not taking.
It will take because we modified it multiple times, right? Deleted. So let me go back once and come forward. Automatically it will take. Otherwise, we will give same thing. That's it.
We can copy paste.
So dedicated service accounts, server configuration, grant perform volume maintenance task to avoid zeroing of data pages. Collation settings, same. SQL at1 general means English. Code page 1, 1, 2. CA means case insensitive. AS means ascent sensitive. Click on next. Let's see here. So first, let me check. Let me add this database admin. See here, database SQL Server administrators have unrestricted access to the database engine. So whoever you add here, those are the superior users in entire SQL Server. They have each and every permission.
Right.
Okay. So let's come to data directories. Data directories introduced in 2008. Okay. Then file stream introduced in 2008. TempDB introduced in 2016. Now see, there are two more options.
Oh, memory and
one is max DOP, another one is memory. What are these two options? Let me discuss. So max DOP means maximum degree of parallelism. Maximum degree of parallelism. So if you give a task to computer, how many parallel execution it can do to complete your query within shorter time? For example, so in our childhood, in maths teachers used to tell the story. If four workers are building a wall, it will take 40 minutes. Otherwise, 4 hours. What if one worker will work? One worker is building a wall. So how much time he will take? I should 16. Ask this question in reverse actually. Yeah, 16, correct. So if one worker is building a wall, he takes 16 hours. So if like 4 workers building a wall, how many hours they can do? So one task divided equally 4 times. So that will be minimized to 4 hours. Okay. So in the same way, maximum parallel execution, it will divide the single task into 4 works. So it will minimize the time taking to execute that query. So again, what is the ideal number here is, it is again equal to your logical processor count.
Okay.
Okay, so my computer has 4 logical processors, automatically detected 4 and it is using 4. And if you don't want to use maximum, let me explain. If you don't want to do maximum degree of parallelism, you want single execution, you can set it to 1. Okay. Here you can see 1. If you use 0, in SQL Server, wherever you use 0, 0 means not 0. 0 means maximum. Oh. Unlimited. So up to 64 cores, it can use max DOP. For example, you have 20 cores, it will use all 20. If you have 36 cores, it will use all 36. You have 64 cores, it will use all 64 cores. When, if you place this value as 0. Blindly remember one thing, in SQL Server, wherever you configure, 0 means unlimited. Unlimited. Okay, but what Microsoft is recommending? For this, I need to discuss with you CPU architecture. So this is not good time to discuss CPU architecture. Right. So, but one thing you remember, one thing you remember, maximum limit is based on processor count. So if your computer has 16 processors, for example, if your computer has 4, you can use 4 max DOP. If you have 8, you can use as 8 max DOP. If you have 16, you can use 16 as max DOP. If you have 32, ideal is 16 only. 16 is the maximum count. But based on the load, based on the requirement, if you want, you can change max DOP also. Okay. So Microsoft is recommending up to 16. Up to 16. So whatever your 16, it is equal to or less than. For example, your computer has 16 cores. You can choose 16 also. You can choose 8 also as max DOP. Right. Less than that, you can choose. More than that, you should not choose. Okay. Up to maximum 16. Okay. After that, if you want to change based on the load, it is not prohibited to change that max DOP number. If you have cores, you are always welcome to change this number. But the thing is, based on your requirement, based on the load, you can change this number. Okay. Okay. That is about max DOP. So whenever you're installing, read all this information. That will be very good to understand. Okay. Now let's come to memory. So we have 2 things here. One is min server memory. Another is max server memory. Okay. So these 2 options are very important to configure. So proper configuration is required here. By default, you must not leave it as by default. So you must never leave it as a default. You should configure this option. Yeah. So otherwise there will be a lot of problems. Let me explain why this is very troublesome if you leave this as a default. For example, let's assume your computer has 32 GB of RAM. Okay. Yeah. So Windows OS is like our mother. So what will our mothers do? They will show us, what do we call it? They will show us that much of love. They will not save anything. So they will give all thing to children only, right?
Correct.
So like that Windows operating system also, if it has 32 GB, if required, it's all 32 GB will be given to SQL Server.
Okay.
Not only SQL, any application, Windows OS will not restrict any OS for that. For its own purpose, it will not save anything. It will give all OS RAM to all applications.
All applications. Okay.
What if my SQL Server is demanding 32 GB of RAM? I have only 32 GB of entire computer RAM. So SQL Server utilizes all 32 GB, and for Windows OS, there is no RAM available. So Windows OS also need to survive, right? So
Right.
without RAM, it can be crashed. It will crash.
It will.
Okay. So if more RAM works comes, then Windows OS will be crashed. To avoid this scenario, we need to reserve some memory for Windows OS.
Okay.
The thing is, we don't have that option in Windows operating system to reserve RAM for Windows operating system. So how can we reserve? So indirectly, we can reserve operating system RAM by stating max server memory in SQL Server. For example, so ideally 6 to 8 GB is fine for any operating system, Windows operating system, unless until you are not running any other applications. So you are only running SQL Server, dedicated for SQL Server. Then 6 to 8 GB is fine for operating system load. So we will take 6 GB. What is 32 minus 6?
26.
That is 26 GB. I can set 26 GB as a max server memory. Okay. So whatever may be the load, SQL Server maximum can utilize this 26 GB only. So it cannot touch this 6 GB, so that Windows operating system can use the remaining 6 GB. Is it clear?
Yes. Means in order to
but we have some
means,
formulas. Yeah. Yes.
In order to.
So this, yes. So this is max server memory, also called as a buffer pool. What is buffer pool? Again, we will discuss later, because all these terminologies, if I tell you now, so you cannot process this information.
Right.
Okay, so just remember, max server memory is buffer pool memory. Buffer pool memory is nothing but memory. Buffer means RAM. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, so whenever you are deciding max server memory, you need to consider a few things. So here I have given in my cheat sheet, max server memory. This is the formula. So whenever you are deciding max server memory, so you need to consider memory for OS. For example, our computer memory is 32 GB, right? So I am considering memory for OS is 6 GB. Okay. Then total is 32 GB minus for OS 6 GB minus for MTL. MTL means memory to leave. We should leave some memory for other purpose. So what are other purpose? Again, so we have some linked server. So all these terminologies we will discuss later. We have store extended store procedures, database mails, and backup process buffers. We call it as backup buffers. All this will be utilized, not buffer pool memory. So they will utilize non-buffer pool memory. That is called memory to leave. So memory to leave, we can again calculate this memory to leave also. So right now, just remember this ideal size is 120 GB. So we can extend this up to 4 GB also. Let's think just it is 2 GB. It is occupying 2 GB. So 32 total, 32 minus 6 for operating system. Memory to live is 2 GB. Buffer structures is 1 GB. Okay. So if you delete all this, I mean, if you subtract all this information from main memory, so this is K. This is the thing you can set option for max server memory. So max server memory, you can set 23 GB here. Is it clear? Okay. So 23 GB is fine. I have one more requirement. In my computer, I'm not using only one instance. I have two instances. See this requirement.
For two means
I have 32 GB of RAM in my computer. So I am using two SQL instances.
Okay.
Again, we need to share this RAM, right?
Correct.
Okay. So what is the formula if you have multiple instances? Same formula only. So first, what is your current capacity? 32 GB minus operating system. You are leaving 6 GB. Memory to leave. You are leaving 2 GB. Buffer structures. You are leaving 1 GB.
1 GB.
So this is one thing. This is one instance, right? What about second instance? So second instance also you need to create max server memory. So operating system, you already leave it here. So you already left. No need. Okay. So one time is sufficient. For MTL, you need to again give 2 GB. For buffer structures, you need to again give 2 GB. So now if you...
How we will how we will calculate the memory required for this MTL and buffer structures means, or
there is a formula. MTL formula is like this. This will be discussed in last class. So actually, this is formula is stack size into number of threads. Okay. So again, I need to explain all these terminologies. That is why wantedly I am not telling you. So just remember, this is memory to live. So max server memory is buffer pool memory. MTL means non-buffer pool memory. MTL means non-buffer pool. Just remember these terminologies. So here, if you subtract all this information from 32 GB minus 6 minus 2 minus 1 minus 1 minus 2. So this is 20 GB is for entire SQL servers buffer pool. So how many instances you have? 2 instances, right? 10 GB per instance. You can set max server memory. Did you get this?
Yeah.
So this is how we decide max server memory. So this is about max server memory. And let's come to min server memory. So max server memory, we need to finalize and provide this in MB. This is maximum, up to maximum, you can utilize this much, but this much of memory are nowadays not available physically. So that means for present condition, there is no limit of using max server memory if you have that much of RAM. Okay, so you whatever you choose, whatever you decided, whatever you calculated, you need to provide max server memory. And min server memory is, for example, your SQL server utilize up to 10 GB load. So after that, after some time, all your operations committed and some internal operations came to the picture, and so now there is no need of load on your SQL server. So automatically this memory will come down. Utilization will come down. From 10 GB, it will become 9, 8, 7. It will become 0. If there is no need, it will become 0.
Okay.
Okay. Now we can set minimum requirement up to which SQL server can withdraw its memory and for which value it can retain. For example, if I set 2 GB, so it can decrease its value up to 2. So after that, whether it is utilized or not utilized, it can never leave this memory. So it will restrict this 2 GB memory for SQL Server. That is called as min server memory. So for example, you are working in a SQL dedicated computer. Okay. So except SQL Server, there are no other applications running on your computer.
Okay.
Okay. So we decided 20 GB, right? Let's discuss. Let's assume we have only one instance. So that is 23 GB. So I am allotting all 23 GB as a max server memory and 23 GB as per min server memory. Same value.
Same value for both min and max. Okay.
This is not Microsoft recommending. This is not ideal, but some companies follows this procedure. Why? Because they're consciously making this change. So those computers are dedicated for SQL Server.
Okay.
So unless SQL Server, nobody is going to use that RAM.
Oh, okay. Means no other application or anything will be on that particular system.
So if you have another application, that application may consume RAM, then pressure will be on operating system, right?
Anything will be there. That
If you don't have any other application, if SQL Server is the only application, let it consume all its whatever we. So we are using this computer for SQL Server only, right? Let it consume whatever it want.
In that case, there won't be any problem.
Yeah, in that case, in some scenarios, in some companies, you can see this option. So whatever the max server memory, the same option should be in min server memory also. Okay, but if you have multiple instances or if you have other applications, this is not ideal because so it will utilize all these 12 GB, 10 GB, whatever we have given. 23 GB we have given, 23 GB will be utilized. So then it will not release any memory for other applications. So for ideally cooperatively working with other applications, so it should not be same as min server memory. Max server memory should not be same. But in some scenarios, as I explained earlier, so you can make it same value also. But ideally, okay, if you have multiple instances, you should maintain min server memory and max server memory. Is it clear? So click next. Can I move forward?
Yes. It's now installed.
Okay. So all the settings will be stored in the configuration INI. Click on install. It will be installed. So all the features up to now, 2019, whatever we have installed. Okay. So those are the available features as of now. Even though we have 2022. Okay. So there are slight changes. Some features are removed from 2022. Only one option introduced additionally, that is cloud extension. Azure cloud extension introduced in 2022. Let me show you. Once it completes, I'll start 22 installation. Okay, it is completed. We got success message. So if you want to troubleshoot, if you get failure message here, if you want to troubleshoot, you should go to this file. Okay, this is called as summary.txt. Summary.txt. The location of summary.txt is, this is important interview question. Bootstrap folder. This is the folder location. So under setup bootstrap, go to log folder under log. So you can find two summary.txt. Let me go to this location or directly this file open. So passed, but reboot required.
Okay.
So whatever the messages, it will show everything. Let me open this location. Okay. See program files, Microsoft SQL Server. So 150 binaries. 150 means 15 version. That is 2019. So go to setup bootstrap. This is the folder location. Go to logs. Here you can find summary.txt. Okay. This is one summary and another summary file. If you want to see more details, go to latest date, time date stamp. 2025-7/2. Today is right. Yes. So this is the date and time stamp. Go to latest one, 9:55 time. Open this. Here you can find another summary.txt. Where is it? Details. Details also you can go through it. You see here summary.computer name.time date stamp.txt. So here you can find if there are any issues, you can troubleshoot from here. These are the logs. Okay. So if somebody asks you, what is the summary.txt location? What will you say? What do you say? Are you there, Gauraji?
Yes. Sorry. I didn't say anything. The children have raised the voice of television. That's why I muted.
Okay. So if somebody asks you what is the location of summary.txt, you should say location of summary.txt is setup bootstrap folder. Okay, close this. Let me open 2022. So 2022, right click, mount it. Go to setup.txt, right click, run as administrator. So this is the first version we have installed. And this is the last version we are going to install.
Correct.
Okay. So as of now, I think we have performed almost 6 to 7 times installation. And now we are going to install 2 to 3 more times. At least 10 times we will install. So you will get all the knowledge on installation. So immediately it will be when you open installation center, you feel like it has already installed multiple times.
Correct.
It will be easy for you.
Yeah. After installing this much of times means the options and all those things are almost remembered. Yeah.
Perform new installation. Okay, fine. Edition, developer edition. See, we have other option introduced in 2022. It was not there in 2019. This is, for Azure. So if you want to use SQL Server in the cloud, so we have billing models we will discuss about in pricing. So this is one type of billing model instead of developer edition, instead of enterprise edition. So you can go with enterprise edition here. So you can buy license one-time cost. Otherwise, you can whenever you are using monthly basis or yearly basis, you can pay as you go billing process. Okay. So now we are going with developer license and terms accepting. This feature introduced in 2022. Azure extension for SQL Server.
Okay.
This feature was not there in 2019. Okay. If you have cloud SQL Server, so you can provide all these details, subscription ID, region, tenant ID, that URL. If you provide, it will integrate with cloud. So I am not choosing this option. Click on next. So go to feature selection now. If you see here, one major difference you can observe.
Here we are selecting only the DB engine service.
because there were no shared features. They have removed this
Um,
client tools
Correct.
connectivity and backward
Yeah,
compatibility.
right. Yeah.
So we are choosing only database engine services here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So whatever the prerequisites it will show. So if it is
Okay.
not installed, it will show here. It is installed. Disk
Mm-hmm.
space requirement, feature description.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you select that, so it will explain the feature. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
fine. This is instance root directory.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is good. Now let's click on next. Feature selection completed. Let's
Mm-hmm.
come to instance configuration FISD. F means feature, I means instance,
Yeah.
means server, T
Yes,
means database,
server and yeah.
FISD. So named instance SQL 2022
Mm-hmm.
I2. We might have I2 already. Let me take I100.
Okay.
I didn't remember exact name what I have given in the previous times. So we have not installed the default instance as of now,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
let me show you how default instance look like. I'm coming back. Okay, I'm
Uh-huh.
choosing default instance. Now
Okay.
let's see what happens. So automatically instance name, it will take MS SQL Server.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
click on next. And the server name is GHK. GHK means my
Mm-hmm.
computer name. So server
Mm-hmm.
name always will be computer name and instance ID always will be MS SQL Server
Yeah. Principles.
for default instance.
Yeah.
So these are dedicated service accounts and you need to choose grant perform volume, maintenance task, collation settings, everything is same. Click on next. Server configuration same. No other
Mm-hmm.
option introduced
Right.
here. All are introduced in 2019 only.
19. Mm-hmm.
So data directories, temp DB, max DOP,
Huh.
memory settings,
All,
and
all are there.
file
Yeah.
streams. File streams and data directories introduced in 2018.
18.
Temp DB introduced in 2016. Max DOP memory introduced in 2019.
19. Mm-hmm.
Click on next. So now all features
Configuration.
stored in configuration file parameters. Click on
Mm-hmm.
install. So soon, within a couple of months or 3 to 4 months, 2025 also will be released. So
Oh, yeah.
2025 is all about AI. AI integration happened there.
AI.
It is not yet released. Yes.
Mm-hmm. AI is coming everywhere.
Yes.
So, how AI will help here?
I'm not sure. Maybe all the settings and all the things we can give prompt and it will take care of automatically, or based on our usage, based on our patterns, it may decide
Mm-hmm.
what is best for us. So we need to explore that option. So it is not
Mm-hmm.
yet released, right?
Right. Every place AI is entering nowadays.
So I wanted to show you how this default instance look like.
Mm-hmm.
So once it completes installation, I'll show you and we'll close the class.
Sure.
Yeah, now it is completed. Let me go to SSMS, browse for more, database engine. See, this is just now whatever we installed, default instance. Click on OK. So GHK is computer name. So you can see like this. So open this, select attach server name. My server name is what?
GHK.
GHK. That is my computer name. Let me show
Server,
you my computer name.
That is my SQL server. Server is, I think.
Yes. This PC properties. GHK is my device name. So device name, automatically it will be taken for server name. And instance name, let me open configuration manager. How to open configuration manager? Two ways, search option and type SQL Server configuration manager. You can open this or otherwise open run command. So SQL Server manager type and whatever the version it will be. So type the number .msc. Now it will open all SQL Server instances installed in your computer. Okay, if you see this, MS SQL Server means this is default instance. These are instance names.
Okay.
So by default, MS SQL Server, if you see, you can identify that is default instance.
Default.
So if you don't know default instance name, if you don't know your computer name, again, still you can connect to your computer. How? Click on connect. Just give one dot here. That's it. One dot.
The server name. Okay.
Click on connect. You can connect to default. Yeah. So you can directly connect to default instance.
Okay. Okay.
One dot is sufficient. So after connecting to it, you can inquire the server name. Select that server name. Execute server name. So this is about all graphical installations. We have other ways of installations. We will discuss it later. So for now, let me stop the recording.
That is through command line.